Stay back. I don't want anything to do.
Fuck you!
The other day, a friend of mine asked me about weapons like knives and sticks and saps and things like that, and their effectiveness against larger opponents. And I wanted to do a video on effective weapons training for equalizing, I guess is the word. How weapons are equalizers for people who are smaller, for people who are outnumbered. A weapon can be the thing that gives someone the advantage, or at least gives them a better fighting chance against someone who has physical advantages. And I will be honest here, I'm not just talking against a single opponent. A weapon can give you such an advantage that you may be able to overcome the worst case scenario of multiple attackers. Notice I said it may give you the advantage, not that it will. There are no absolutes or guarantees when it comes to violence, but there are many factors to this. The first factor is training. Having a weapon and not training with it is like holding a weapon for somebody else, and that somebody else is your opponent. If you are going to use a tool to protect yourself and you don't take the time to get good with that tool, then you are just building a house of straw and hoping that it will withstand a hurricane. You need to get skill. You need to be good with your weapon. And not only that, you need to be good with your empty hands, and you have to balance your weapon skills with not becoming weapon dependent, because not every situation in the self-defense world requires this kind of force. So how do you get the skills? Well, here's one way: practicing. You have to practice, you have to get good, you have to have skills. Really good fighting skills come from a lot of effort and repetition. And you also have to work on your fitness. You have to be as fit as you can be at your age, at your physicality, because if you have to use your skills, it's going to be the hardest day of your life. You need to have the physical fitness to stay in the fight, as well as the mental fortitude to overcome shock, trauma, pain, and injury. So, while a weapon can give you great advantage, if you want to be effective with any weapon, you need skill, you need adaptability, you need training, you need to practice using it under pressure. And even then, this will not be the same as if you have to use it for real. But the more you practice, the more you will overcome the effects of adrenaline and stress. This is why it's so important to put the time into your training. The next factor that you have to consider is willingness, the mindset. If you don't have the mindset to use your weapon, if you don't have the mindset to go and to apply that weapon to another person, it's not going to do you any good. And you will hesitate and freeze. You will hesitate and give the weapon to your opponent. When you're going to base any of your self-defense on the use of a weapon, you better be willing to use it, and use it aggressively with full intent. On top of this, you need the mindset to be able to reassess and change your level of force that you're using and adapt to the situation. Remember, you will likely be judged on your actions, so make sure your actions are appropriate to the situation at hand. Be able to explain yourself and make sure you know why your actions are both appropriate and reasonable, because you will have to explain that to the authorities. You also have to understand the nature of your weapon. If you're using edged weapons, for instance, you have to know that they will not necessarily instantly stop somebody. Heavy blunt impact weapons are more effective than light ones, but light ones are quicker and you can really set up a blitzing attack with a light cane. So understand what your weapon is for, understand how to use it, and then do stuff like this. You know, here this represents a walking stick, and I'm applying it to an empty-handed person. Now, we try it at close range, which makes a difference there. And I accidentally elbowed Keith in the chest, which was kind of effective. Anyway, so this is great training, but it requires some conjecture and some role playing. So we're doing this with a baton now. And this type of training is really, really important if you're going to use weapons. Try to find a way to do it safely. Put up a fence, use some verbal cues, use some de-escalation, because you want to get the witnesses on your side. Now, we're just sparring here. One of us has the knife, and we're taking turns with the knife. But this is really functional training now. I think at this point, I get close and I end up doing multiple stabs on Keith here. And that's kind of the reality of using a knife. So this training here is working both for the defender and for the knife user. Because if you're going to use a knife on someone, they're not going to let you do it. Now, you can't see here, but I actually end up disarming Keith in here, but I took stabs. Nothing's going to be perfect. So now we're doing some preemptive striking, and this is a great tactic. I put up a fence, I push him back, he slaps my hand down, and I attack. Now, using the blade, listen here. There I use the blade to de-escalate. The other one, I use the blade to attack. Having good and adaptable tactics are vitally important in this type of training. Here we are doing some give and take flow. We're exchanging feeds and increasing resistance as we go. This is not sparring, but it is a great drill. You'll notice that each of us end up with the knife. We increase our resistance as we play, but this is a great way to train. These are all great methods to train edged weapons skills and edged weapons defense. They're not perfect. We aren't perfect. They get sloppy, but that's the reality of fighting. Fighting is not art. Combatives is not art, and your training should reflect this. Notice we're getting a little more aggressive as we're going. But there are also a lot of moments of cooperation where we slow down so the other person can get the disarm. This trains a lot of combative attributes and is a lot of fun. It is enjoyment that keeps us training. And remember, you are and always will be your own first responder. So if you believe that violence is a possibility, get your ass in a gym and train. Train hard. Thank you.